Hi, my name's Daniel from Solwise, and this is going to be an unboxing video of 3 new routers that we've recently gotten from InHand. They are 4G/5G routers, and they are described as industrial, although obviously they're more multi-use than that. But they do have some differences that are worth going over that you'd probably want to be aware of if you're going to get them and set them up for yourself. So starting with the IR302, which is the first of what we're going over in this video, and you'll notice it's made of a very sturdy metal, which is part of obviously the industrial description of it. So it's very rugged, it's very sturdy, it's not just cheap plastic stuff. It's got some LEDs on the front that will tell you things like if it's got a signal and how good the signal is. And you'll notice on this one it's got an RS232 serial port for use with that kind of equipment that you might be using in an industrial scenario. It's got one SIM tray, but it is dual SIM, only for failover reasons. So if it's a mission critical application, such as just equipment that needs a constant online connection, then this would be ideal for that, because you can have one SIM card and a backup SIM card if anything were to happen to the first one, if it ran out of data, if the network went down, if something went wrong with the signal for it, that kind of thing. It can instantly fail over to the second one. It has, you'll notice, 2 external SMA ports. One is for an external LTE antenna. Any of the ones we do, the Omni 292 for instance, any that are single, standalone antenna, that can be used to amplify the mobile signal it receives. It also has a Wi-Fi SMA connector, so that's obviously to get stronger Wi-Fi coming out of it. It's got the power socket, which is just a 2-port DC supply of anywhere between 9 to 36 volt. So if you were wanting to use it in some kind of vehicle, a motor vehicle, and needed a 12 volt supply to it, that is doable. It can be found from that. And it's got 2 Ethernet ports, one WAN/LAN and then one LAN, which are 100 megabit Ethernet ports. It's a Cat4 mobile router, which means it can do a maximum of 150 megabits speeds. Obviously that's not real world speeds, but that's what it can do. And in practice, I think you'd find it could be anywhere from, I don't know, obviously depending on the signal, anywhere from, let's say, 10 to I've seen up to 70 meg on a Cat4 router. So, which, to be honest, is more than enough for most uses, whether that's industrial and it's just going to be center equipment, that kind of thing, or even if it's going to be, just a standard domestic use inside a house or in a boat or in a camper van, that kind of thing, that should still be enough. What also comes with this router is obviously a power supply. This one obviously that you'd plug into a 3-pin UK socket. It comes with antennas for Wi-Fi and mobile. These are obviously indoor stand-up ones. If you wanted outdoor for either, then you've just got the SMA aerials to go into it. It comes with these wall-hanging ears, which are for easy surface mounting. It's got the pins to go with that. And it's got a Cat5 Ethernet cable if you didn't have one of your own and you wanted to connect it into something. So obviously these industrial routers like the IR302 are very qualified for industrial applications. That's kind of the whole point of them. They've got the sturdy metal design, they've got the I/O interfaces, the RS232, They have very good security, so they have built-in VPN support for any of your VPNs that it can just be built in and used for security for that reason. It's got firewall, it's got access control, data encryption built in, strong Wi-Fi security, so you can be very, very secure with the security of these. They're well built for that kind of thing. Uses Device Manager, which is one of InHand's remote management tools. Device Manager, it's mainly an industrial kind of remote monitoring tool. So it can do things like monitoring the kind of edge computing readings that you can get on these. They support edge computing. They're good at centrally managing all the information that you'll get in them. They can do bulk firmware upgrades if you have lots of these kind of things all built into one network or just built into one account on this device manager. You can do all the firmware upgrades at once whenever a firmware upgrade is needed. You can do remote configuration of them, bulk configuration of them. The edge computing we mentioned. If you're using one of the models that supports GPS, this one doesn't, the 302, but if it does, then you can remotely track the location using that GPS with this remote device manager. It can establish remote maintenance tunnels, sort of like port forwarding, or you can use various protocols for it, really. But you can do remote tunneling like that so that you can remotely access on-site machines, equipment, network devices, stuff like that. So not just this router, but anything that this router is connected into can also be accessed remotely using the device manager. The IR302 in particular is kind of seen as like a balanced option between cost and performance, because obviously it's a very, very reasonable price. I think the current price will be included in the video description. And at Cat 4, as I sort of said earlier, that's for the majority of network uses, really. Cat 4 speeds of up to 150 meg is all you'll really need. So it's not the fastest that's available. It's not a 5G router or anything like that, but it's very reliable and consistent with what it offers. And as I say, it's very reasonably priced for everything it does offer. And then moving on from the 302, we'll next go over a quite similar router, the IR315. It comes in a slightly bigger box. It's a slightly bigger router. Straight away, you'll notice this one has an integrated DIN rail mounting bracket on it. So you don't have to buy that separately. It's just integrated on it, and that allows for quite easy DIN rail mounting. This one, along with supporting IR302, it also supports IR485, so it's a bit more versatile in the I/O serial port usage. It has 2 Wi-Fi connectors and 2 mobile SMA connectors, so it can be used with 2x2 MIMO antennas, like say the X-Pol, or any of the MIMO 3, MIMO 4 models by pointing that we do. And for Wi-Fi, the extra Wi-Fi antenna that you can connect onto it means it can do stronger Wi-Fi at slightly better coverage. It's better at spreading Wi-Fi across multiple devices at once. If you've got a fair few people all wanting to use the Wi-Fi, there'll be less kind of buffering due to everyone using it together. So it's going to be a decent bit better in terms of performance than the 302. You'll also notice it has more ports. The previous 302 had 2 ports. This one has 5. 4 of them LAN, 1 WAN. There are still 100 megabit LAN ports, so that should be good for the kind of speed you'll be getting, because it's a Cat 4 router as well, so it's also 150 megabit speeds. It also has a single SIM tray. This one is nano SIM rather than the standard SIM size. And once again, it's got dual SIM, so you can have 2 SIM cards in there of different types for backup purposes if it's like a mission critical usage. Also, I didn't mention it on the IR302, but that one and this one have a little reset button on them if you needed to obviously reset them to factory defaults for any reason. Also in here, again, you've got the power supply, just a standard UK 3-pin, and the different antennas. You'll see there's 3 included, which I believe 2 are Wi-Fi and 1 mobile. And the Ethernet cable, if you needed it to come with its own Ethernet cable. So the 315 is really quite similar in terms of its potential uses as opposed to the 302. You'll use it in the same kind of scenarios. Obviously it's an industrial router. So if it's an industrial environment, if you're wanting to use it for its edge computing, connecting it to serial devices, it's got all the same capabilities to do that as the IR302. Obviously it supports RS485 as well as RS232. So as I said, it's a bit more versatile for that kind of thing. And the extra Wi-Fi connector, it's still Wi-Fi 4, so it's not going to be inherently faster, but the fact that it's a second Wi-Fi antenna will help with making the Wi-Fi just feel a bit better to use from an end user point of view. And the fact that there are 2 aerial connectors, you could potentially, if you wanted Wi-Fi, say indoors and outdoors, you could have one of the Wi-Fi connections used by an indoor antenna, and then connect an outdoor antenna to the second one with a cable leading to it. That way you cover indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi simultaneously without needing like a separate Wi-Fi access point, for example. The last one I'm going to be going over today is the IR624. This one is more different from the other 2. This is not just a Cat4 4G router. This is a more powerful 5G router. It can obviously do much faster speeds, up to, I would say, probably about somewhere in the 2 to 3 gigabit per second range in optimal conditions if you've got good 5G. So if you were using this in more high-speed environments, if it was an industrial environment where you need quite fast data rates, or if it was an enterprise environment in like a office or shop, or just, again, your home use, but you're wanting very fast speed, maybe you're doing a lot of 4K streaming or online gaming where you want fast speed and low latency. If you're in an area that has good mobile speeds, this will be able to take much more advantage of them. You'll immediately notice it has more SMA connections on it. 4 of them are for mobile, so it can do 4x4 mobile. You can connect 4x4 antennas to it, again like the XPOL 4x4 XPOL, or any of the vehicle antennas that pointing do that are 4x4, such as the MIMO 4-4 or the Swirl antenna, the Swirl 4. It's got 2 Wi-Fi connections like the IR315. It once again supports RS232 and RS485. It has 4 Ethernet ports, 1 WAN/LAN, and then 3 LAN. These are gigabit Ethernet ports, so you can get, connect them to your, if you've got a gigabit network environment, you connect them to that and you're not losing 900 megabits instantly, so you can get faster speeds through there. Once again, it's got dual SIM for failover purposes, in 1 SIM tray here, and a reset button inside that reset hole. And again, this one has an integrated DIN rail mount like the IR315. So you'd have to get that separately. Inside it, it's got the classic Ethernet cable and 2 indoor Wi-Fi antennas, and then 4 indoor mobile antennas. So again, you can use these, or you can connect your own external antenna if you wanted to have potentially a better performance. So as I've said, the uses, it's still going to be similar uses to the two previous ones. It's mainly designed as a rugged industrial router, but it can be used in different environments. And the fact that it's capable of very good speeds means you may be more inclined to use it in different environments. Like if you wanted to use it as your home router, for example, if you think the local 5G will be better than the local broadbands that you can get, then it can be ideal for that kind of thing too. But that's about it in terms of unboxing them. Obviously, they've got the essentials in with them. If you needed anything additional, like more brackets, more antennas, more cables, we do all of that on our website. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in another video.